Hi guys, this is Miss Howington here, and today we are going to talk about comparing some more complex data sets, making some more complex graphs to do that. So in this video we're going to talk about making a line graph with two y-axes, and we would do that if we wanted to look at maybe like two data sets over time and compare the two data sets over time, but maybe like the values of the two data sets are very, very different. And you'll see that when we look at our data sets here. So we're gonna, again, we're gonna look at our natural disaster data set and the temperature anomaly data set. So if you want to follow along, that natural disaster data set is up at the top of the data in environmental science. It's that example data 1 link. And then the temperature anomaly data is down here in part 3, that raw data right there. So we're going to look at those, and I think for this one, we're going to, our question is going to be, so from my studies in environmental science, I know that global temperatures have increased over time, and so I think that that is probably going to have led to an increase in droughts over time. So I want to look at the two data sets and see if that's the case, if there is an increase in temperature anomaly over time, and also if there is an increase in droughts over time. We're comparing temperature anomaly as well as droughts over time. So we're comparing two data sets over time. We do have, I guess, many or few time periods is relative. So, I mean, we are looking at many time periods, and we're not looking at cyclical data. So we're not looking at data that like happens every single year or something, or like in a cycle, like maybe tides or seasonal temperature or something like that. So non-cyclical data, but we do have many categories. So we're going to use a line chart, but ours is going to have multiple lines on it. So I'm going to make a new tab here. So I'm going to put in my drought data and then my temperature data. And I'm going to filter my data here so that I can choose just droughts. Okay, and I'm just going to copy all of that data. If I want to copy the whole data set, I can hit Command Shift and down if I'm on a Mac, and Control Shift and down if you're on a PC, and then copy it with the Command C or the Control C. And paste that over here. And actually, I think that our independent variable is probably going to be temperature, because I think that that might be our causing factor. So I'm going to put that in the columns A and B and C. And I'm going to put my drought data over here. Okay, so I have, and then I'm going to copy my temperature data over. I just want the global temperature because the natural disasters is for all of the entire world. So I'm going to filter that by just global. So I don't have any other data there. And then I'm just going to take the average. So I'm going to look at the data for the whole entire year, or for the whole entire world, and my natural disaster data starts in 1900. My temperature data starts in 1850. So I'm going to just copy from the 1900 data on. Maybe. Okay, there we go. All right. So, and I just want the median. So I'm going to highlight those two cells and then do my Command Shift down to get all of the data from that point onward, or Control Shift down if you're on a PC, and copy. and then paste that information here. All right, so this is temp here. All right. And I might have to do a little bit of data, fixing my data. So I want to make sure that my year from my temperatures matches up with the year for the drought events that we have. And so I'm just going to delete the cells that we don't need. And I'm going to shift the rest of my data up so that it matches there. So it looks like we have every couple of years there. So delete cells, shift. All right, so it's always really important to check your data and make sure that it lines up. Since we're looking at both the median temperature anomaly and the number of droughts over time, we want the time to be on the x-axis. We always want the time to be on the x-axis. So make sure that the years is over in my left-hand column. In this case, it's the B column. And so I want to select all three data sets. So I'm going to highlight the first cell that I want and then hit Command Shift to the right to get all of my data sets selected, and then Command Shift down. And if you're using a PC, that's Control Shift. To select all my data, and then I'm going to either use this icon or the Insert Chart option here. And Google correctly picked that we should do a line chart with 2 different lines on it. However, if we look at this, this is, the red is our number of droughts, and we have from 0 up above 30 here. And then our temperature anomaly, you can't see any of that detail at all, because if you look over here at our data values, they are fractions of degrees that we're looking at here. So looking at it at the same scale that we're looking at something that goes from 0 to 30 is not appropriate. So we need a separate y-axis for this. So we are going to get that by going over here to Customize, go down to Series, and then we just want to apply this to our temperature anomaly because that's the one that we want to be able to see better. Right now it's on the left axis, but we want to put it on the right axis. There we go, much better. So now we can see the detail in both data sets. But now, especially, I mean, you always need to label your axes, but especially since we have 2 of them, we don't want to get them confused. So we're gonna, our vertical axis title, which is our left vertical axis title, that's the default one. That's our number of droughts that we're looking at there. And then our right vertical axis title is our median temperature anomaly in degrees Celsius. But there we go. So now we have all of our axes titled. So we have number of droughts, years, median temperature anomaly. And then we need to change our title as well. But remember, we always want to have a title that's very descriptive of our data. Somebody should be able to look at our graph as a standalone and understand what's going on. So we're going to just add some more detail to this title. So we're looking at global median temperatures. So that looks nice there. This is a little busy up here with the legend up here, so I think I would want to move this down. So I'm going to go down here to legend, and not in the auto position, but I want that at the bottom because I think it makes it look nicer. All right, so there's our graph. So we can now insert that, copy our chart, and insert it into our assignment as well as your class slides there. Okay, and then we need to interpret our data. So we're going to look for relationships or trends or anything like that. And to me, it looks like over time, like from about 1900 to 1975 or so, both the temperature anomaly and the droughts kind of remained pretty constant and fairly low, so close to that baseline temperature and then like the number of droughts seemed to stay around like 10 or so. But then around 1975 or so, things started to increase for both the temperature anomaly and the droughts. I mean, the temperature anomaly increase is a little bit more constant than the drought increase, but you could definitely see an increase in the number of droughts over time. So from that, I mean, from this data, we can't say that anything is causing another thing, or even we can just say that both of them have a positive trend, that they're both increasing over time. The questions that we still might have about this data and where it came from, so I would be curious about maybe, it seems like there's a whole lot less variation over here in the earlier time periods than there is in the later time periods, and I'm wondering if that's an actual lack of variation in the data, or if maybe that is because of maybe different entities not reporting events, or not reporting temperature or droughts or something like that. So I might have some questions about how this data was collected and where it came from, and I could definitely go back to the Our World in Data site where I got this data and look at the metadata and see how it was collected and that sort of thing. So I look forward to seeing your graphs and what you guys come up with, and we will definitely practice this skill and use it all throughout class all year long. All right, thank you so much for watching.